Yo, let's go.
And what I look like sitting here talking about me like I'm the one. Nah, man. It's gotta be God, yo. It takes a whole lot to hold your attention span. I mean, I gotta be large. I'm talking extension, expand. The inventions of plans that are grand is sensational. Cause the appetite of man is almost insatiable. More, not just more, but greater than before. Supply the demand, they command, encore. Now I'm sure that I can do a little something, something. Rock a couple rhymes, do a show, you know, something. I ain't gon' front like God ain't give me nothing. No type of way to display his glory and show him stunting. But the problem comes when I'm in front of them and they leave wanting me instead of wanting him. Yeah, you can see my dilemma, cause I am just a man. Tell a loyal fan like Flavor Flav, I can't do nothing for you, man. I mean, I can lie like I'm the shot, say I'm hot and I got what it takes. I make no mistakes and I'm great, but I'm not. So forget about.
Yeah.
No, man.
What's up, y'all? Come on into the chat. What's happening? What's happening? We're going to dive into the discussion. I had to take it back to the old school. This is going to be a Raising the Bar episode number 2. I'll be talking about my old school jam, Me, from the Incredible Walk album. But we'll dive back into that in a second. Come on into the chat. Greet somebody in Reason's name. Let's get ready to get to it. I want to definitely give a shout out to all the Patreon supporters. Appreciate you all. And if you're wondering who they be, this be they. Shout out to each and every single one of you. Thank you for standing with the channel. Gotta do it. I titled this one, The Obligatory Easter Episode. Christmas came and passed, and I didn't do a Christmas episode. I did not think I was going to be doing a Easter episode, and I actually promoted this as just me getting on talking about Easter. But as I was thinking about it, some of the lines from my old song, Me, jumped into my head. So at the very last minute, at the very last second, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn this into a Easter episode / Raising the Bar. So we're going to dive back into to that song, and I'm going to talk about that song and talk about the time that we are in. What's happening? Goat Herder's Guide says, greetings in Reason's name. What's happening? Mo Wheat. Good morning from South SoCal. Okay. Hope I'm reading that right. Is that South? Is that Sacramento, Cali? Help me make sure I got that right there. But definitely what's happening, y'all. So yeah, it was today that I woke up and I'm sitting here getting my house ready for my family to come over on Easter Sunday. My family has a tradition where every year we get together twice a year. We get together for Thanksgiving, which is my mother has 5 sisters, and those 6 daughters, my mother and her 5 sisters, they produced a bunch of cousins, and then now my cousins have all had kids. And so every year we get together on Thanksgiving and Easter. And it's been that way since I can remember. I mean, my oldest memory, I think I'm 5 years old, 4 years old. And there's pictures of me and my cousins sitting around at the kids' table while the adults are at the adult table. We've been doing this every year, twice a year. And a few years ago, I let my family know, hey guys, when we get together, I'm just letting you know, don't ask me to pray this Thanksgiving. Don't ask me to pray this Easter. I'm not there anymore. And I told my family I'm not a believer anymore. And it was odd because I was the one in the family who was not supposed to. I was sort of the one next in line to take the baton from the generation behind before me and run as the spiritual, I don't know. I was the most, I guess, spiritually inclined, maybe. But come to find out, no, my sister, my older sister, had she been in town, maybe she would have been the one, who knows? But she departed from the faith without me really knowing. Then I departed from the faith. Um, wow. I'm sorry. I hate to do this. I got a contractor downstairs working. Stick with me, y'all. Hey, what's up, Paul? Uh, ah, yes. Um, give me 1 second. I'll be right there. Hey, I hate to do this, Gail. Give me 1 second. I gotta go unlock this door for them real quick. I'll be right back. While I'm going, I'm gonna play the rest of the song. How about that?
These rappers talk about all they things and how they bling it like that's gonna make you happy. It don't even make them happy. I'm not gonna stand here and pitch me so you can pick me like I got what you need. If you prick me, I'll bleed. I'm just a man, yo. It's gotta be God, man. Gotta be God. This is reason number 73. Not to get hung up on the actor, the rapper, the pastor, the reverend, and me. Whoever claims to belong on the throne needs to bring long-lasting satisfaction and never leave you alone. You know those sad and lonely nights. Your superstar in his souped-up car ain't coming over to hold you tight. Why not? He don't even know where he lives. And you ain't going to see him. Why? You don't even know where he lives. But they know out of sight means out of mind. So they spend mad dough on ads and radio time. It's like they trying to be everywhere. Everywhere a person can stare. Billboards, TV screens, the mirror. But I ain't playing that game. Saying my name 50 times in one rhyme just so I can remain in your brain. Nah, I don't deserve that kind of mentioning. Only God can condescend to be with men and still be omnipresent. Forget about
So this song comes in. My aim, this was I think the second song on the album, or maybe the first real song. There's an intro, and then I dive right into this. My aim with this song on the album was to try to get people's eyes off of me. The first verse is telling them like, yo, who am I? Why are you coming to this show for me? Don't come for me. Come for God. This second verse is going in even harder, just talking about how, come on, man, like we don't really deserve all the attention. You got to put your eyes on God. The third verse the third verse jumped into my head today because as I'm getting ready for this Easter episode, about maybe literally an hour ago, I had a relative throw something in the family group chat, and it triggered me because I mean it's Good Friday. Every Good Friday, I think about the lyrics from Andy Mineo. He's got the song. What's the song called? He takes Lupe Fiasco's the same sample Lupe Fiasco used for Glory. Andy Mineo has a song. Whatever Comes, I think is the name of the song. Whatever comes, whatever goes. But he comes into I think one of the verses on the song, Andy Mineo says, I wrote this on Good Friday, but why they call it good, an innocent man was beaten and nailed in the wood. One of my favorite Christian rap songs from back in the day. But here it is, Good Friday. I wake up, I'm chilling, getting ready for today's episode. And then in my family group chat, somebody posts something. And I mean, I love my family. I love them dearly. And I wasn't sure how this was going to go, but somebody posted something about Good Friday. And it triggered me. And I was like, first of all, it's weird because I'm hosting family dinner this Sunday at my house. I've got contractors here right now trying to get the house, in tip-top shape so the family could just come and enjoy themselves. I'm kicking out over $1,000 this week just to make sure that, everything is just right so that when the family comes, they can be here. But they're coming to celebrate Easter. And so when they put this thing in the group chat about Good Friday, I was like, I don't want to ruin the mood. I don't want to say like, damn, not everybody in this group chat agrees with this. Not everybody believes this. Now, granted, back when I was a Christian, I would have probably been the one throwing something in the chat. And if there was anybody in the family who it was rubbing the wrong way, I wasn't even cognizant of it, nor would I probably, I'm show you just how arrogant I was. I probably would have been like, yeah, take that. like I know you don't agree with this, but what you gonna do? Like, you're not gonna leave the family over this, so you just gotta shut up and take it. That's how my mindset was. I was the one that liked to push buttons. I liked to antagonize. I liked the debate. I liked the, if you feel uncomfortable because of my spiritual antagonism, good, because that's probably God or the Holy Spirit making you uncomfortable, forcing you to deal with things that you probably don't want to have to deal with. I don't think that the family member who posted the thing today, I don't think this family member was trying to needle us or trying to, I just don't think you think about that kind of thing when you're a believer. Like, especially if you think the majority of the people in your circle are believers too. But maybe you do know, or maybe you should know, yeah, you kind of are, putting something in somebody's face that don't agree with. Anyway, family member posted something in the group chat, and I didn't know how to respond. And so I decided I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to, I just let it rock. And then about 10 minutes later, my sister posted something in the chat. And I remember my sister, she deconverted before I did, but she kind of kept it all to herself. I didn't even know that she was atheist until about maybe 6-7 months ago. And so my sister posted something in the chat responding to the Good Friday post. And I'm trying to make sure I have it here. I asked her, after my sister posted this, I asked her, like, hey, can I show this in my episode today? And my sister gave me her blessing. So I decided I would post it. So basically what happened was somebody posted something in the family chat, and it was the thing that you see on Facebook, right? You see everybody's posting these things. It said, one nail. No, what did it say? One cross, three nails, forgiven. That's what it said. And that's what triggered me, because I'm thinking all of the counter apologetic stuff that you think when somebody says that kind of thing. One cross, three nails, forgiven. For me, it wasn't really worth it to challenge it or say anything, but I was at the same time thinking, I don't know how fair this is that I gotta. So I'm getting to what my sister posted now. I'm trying to pull it up on the screen. Image from downloads. All right, let me see. Give me 1 second to pull it up here. Screenshot. It'll be, if I'm not mistaken, this one. Yeah. So my sister was very lovingly, very gently, my sister posted this. She said, one cross plus three nails equals forgiven sounds catchy until you realize it glorifies abuse and calls it salvation. If your idea of love requires a murder scene, it might be time to break up with your theology. Think about it. An all-powerful God couldn't just forgive? Like, okay, one cross, three nails, forgiven. Cool, but an all-powerful God had to do that? Like, I think any Christian would have to admit, God didn't have to do that. Like, we go around, when I was a Christian, we would say things like, without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. Okay, but does that have to be the case? Like, an all-powerful God doesn't need blood to forgive sins. An all-powerful God could have forgiven sins for any reason he wanted. It doesn't need blood. But my sister says, think about it. An all-powerful God couldn't just forgive. He needed torture, nails, death. Why God? Why does God need death to forgive when humans do it every day without a crucifixion? Are we better than God? Are we more gracious than God? Are we more forgiving than God? There are unbelievers all over the world who have people do things to them that they don't like, that they don't appreciate, that they hate even, and they forgive without asking the person to bleed or offer a substitutionary death. But God couldn't do it without a crucifixion. And then my sister says, and I'll be real, I would love to see Black folks stop glorifying and spiritualizing abuse and struggle like it's holy. It's conditioning. And the cost of our emotional, and the cost is our emotional and psychological well-being. She ends, I love y'all too. No God or nails required. She was my hero today. My sister was my hero today. When she threw that in the chat, I eventually chimed in and I just said, hey guys, I got to be real with y'all. As the person who's hosting Easter dinner this year, I told them, I said, look, I'm doing this because I want to see my family come together. I want us to keep our tradition. But then I said this to my family. I said, I'm celebrating a different resurrection. I'm celebrating the resurrection of me, resurrecting from having lived the last 30 years dying to myself. I'm resurrecting me. And I'm devoted to living this life in the here and now, since this is the only life that I know for sure that I have. But I also let them know, look, there's no faith needed for me to do that. I'm here now, no faith. I'm resurrecting my life. But then I also let them know, but this is not in any way me trying to take away anybody else's right. You have the right to, by faith, wait for a future resurrection. That's cool for you. And I don't even mind doing everything I'm doing to open up the house for y'all to come through. I want us to celebrate each other and our lives, but just know I'm celebrating my own resurrection, not a future one that I don't really know is going to happen. If you want to wait for that by faith and celebrate that, fine. I'm celebrating resurrecting me here and now. And as I was getting ready for this episode, I really had a whole different way I was planning to go with it, which I'll get into in a second. But the lines from this song, the third verse of this song, started dancing in my head because this song, the first verse is talking about, no, it's not about me. The second verse is talking about like even your favorite rappers, like they don't deserve your attention. The third verse, which I'm about to play, I talked about why I think Jesus is why Jesus is the one who deserves all our attention. And the reason was because of the resurrection. So I'll play the third verse and then we can talk about it. And then I'll tell you why the thumbnail for this video says, Jesus, you got some explaining to do, because we gotta talk about how the New Testament authors present this resurrection to us. But here goes Christian me back in 2004, trying to tell people why Jesus deserves all the attention and affection.
Don't let them make you think you need them. They sitting there thinking about how much they need you. Look, if you come to the show, go wild, go hard, but don't go all out for me. Go out for God. I'm not worth it. I'm not worthless. He did purchase me, but only he's worth your worship. The fact of the matter is, there's really nothing the matter with being enamored with someone who has a gift. This is only hazard if he's asked to perform a task for which he's really not adequate. Like giving you a reason to live. Cause see, if you're living for him and then he dies, then your reason is history. Now what are you living for? Sudden death strikes and all of a sudden it's like you gotta find a different source for your soul to get attached. And hope they never let you down, but not even big was big enough for that. You can get attacked, talking about he's still alive. alive. But like they tell Elvis fans, fam, he really died. It's only really God who has to get this affection. Even after death, Christ has the strength for resurrection. So please don't be fooled by all the me's. It could be he, she, another MC, or even little old me. Nah, man.
Yo, I love that verse. Yeah, just I tried to eloquently make the point that it was because of Jesus's resurrection. That's why he deserves the attention, the affection, the praise, and none of us. And I really do. That's why I like the series that I'm doing with Michael Apple. We're going to get back on that soon and do a part 2. But if someone had come to me back in those days and tried to present me with the counter apologetics, like what Michael Apple was doing when I had the conversation with him, if someone had asked me, why do you believe this resurrection? I don't really I would have probably had an answer then, but I really can't for the life of me now try to understand, why did I believe that a human being died and came back to life? Like, is it really just because this book said so and people believed it and the testimony that they were willing to die for it? Was that really enough to convince me that somebody came back to life after being crucified? Even after death, Christ had the strength for resurrection. Did he really? How do I know this? How do you know that? Why do you believe that? If you think about just how easy it is to make a claim, why? What does it take for you to believe the claim? How gullible are you? How credible is the claim? Is it longevity because the claim's been around for so long? Well, there are religions that are older than Christianity. Does that make them true? Is it popularity? Well, look at how many people believed it. Well, there are millions of people that believe in other religions. What is it that makes the claim true? My subjective experience, because Jesus came and spoke to me. Well, there are other religions who they say, I experienced Brahma, I experienced Allah, none of those things are unique to Christianity. And so I don't know what it would have taken for someone back in that day to challenge me, to really get me to think, why are you believing this? But I believed it. But now I'm thinking about it and I'm saying, wait, so an all-powerful God, you didn't have to, you chose to make death and blood the way that you're going to forgive sins. And then you also didn't have to die as a savior, resurrect as a savior, but then vanish so that we have to take people's word for it, as opposed to us just having the proof right here in front of us. You chose to do that. Why would you choose to do that? And for me, what's problematic about that now is, how does this situation look any different? Like, let's just say a rumor was started. These Jewish men and women really thought that the person that they were following was going to be their savior, the Davidic king long promised. He's going to rescue us. He's going to get Rome's boot off of our neck. He's going to stop whoever was going to come after Rome. There's going to be nobody else after Rome. It's going to be us, because we're going to reign now. And they're looking forward to this. And then it doesn't happen. And their would-be Messiah and Savior is now crucified and dead. And someone in their movements, one of their followers, whether because of extreme emotional distraught or because of some psychological impression that they received, or the embarrassment of following somebody, the wrong person, but you don't want to let it go, and so that your pride can't handle that. And for some reason, the legend begins to grow that that guy that we were following, nah. Yeah, he died, but he didn't stay dead. Keep in mind, you're doing this in a society where all the heroes of the day, they never stay dead. Like, if Jesus was the only one who ever had a story about him dying and rising, maybe that would buy us a little bit of credulity. Like, oh, I mean, come on. They didn't dare say it about this person, that person, or this person, but they said it about him. But no, you go back and you look and you realize, wait, they said this about mythical characters and historical characters. Sometimes you had mythical characters who got historicized and they told stories about them after death. Sometimes you had historical people who got mythologized and they told stories about them resurrecting after death, and not just resurrecting, but ascending into the heavens and being with the gods. Jesus isn't the only one. So it's like, why let your story be just as, to whatever degree you want to be able to say this is historical, it's no more historical than any of the other stories that were told about people who had an apotheosis after death. And it's also no more mythical. Like, Jesus' story is no more mythical than anyone else's. When you think about what happens in the book of Acts, right? And at the end of Luke, where Jesus ascends into heaven, right in the eyewitness, like he's got eyewitnesses that watch him ascend into heaven. You would think, well, even that's crazy, right? Like, why would they tell that? But guess what? The other stories of people, be it the Caesars or be it Hercules, or all of these stories have witnesses that watch them have some kind of ascension. Your story is no more historical, yet also no more mythical than any of the other stories. And you're not going to stick around. You're not going to stick around and give us any proof of this. We just got to take their word. Why would you put us in that position? Saw super chat. Michael Apple says, it might be interesting to go into all the ways the resurrection story doesn't work, all the alternatives. I would be interested in doing something like that. Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate you. In the book of Luke, you find the story of Jesus resurrecting. And then you find a contradiction when you get to the book of Acts. And this contradiction is stunning when you consider the fact that Luke, the Gospel of Luke, and the book of Acts is supposedly written by the same person. So the contradiction is all the more like, what's going on here? I write about this in my book, of course, if you can see it. Let There Be Gaslight. I write about this in chapter 10. I go into details, so I'm not going to go into all the details here. But in Luke's gospel, Jesus rises from the dead on the first day of the week. And on the same day, Luke's gospel is very specific and precise. Luke keeps saying, on that day, at that moment, in that very hour. All these things are happening in rapid succession on the same day. Jesus rises, Jesus appears to people, Jesus gives a message to his disciples, Jesus ascends into the sky in the same freaking day. But go over to the book of Acts, Acts chapter 1, and you get a different version of the events. In Acts chapter 1, supposedly the same author says, Jesus rises from the dead on the first day of the week. That part is the same. Then Jesus spends 40 days kicking it with his disciples. Then at the end of the 40 days, he finally ascends into the heavens in front of them. There's one other difference that makes this, like, if you're going to do historiography, if you're going to try to go back and look at the evidence we have and try to figure out, why does it say this? This account says this account says that. Why? Luke's gospel doesn't have the 40 days. It also doesn't have what you find in Acts chapter 1, this very interesting statement, which is a telling statement to me. The book of Acts says he stayed around for 40 days, giving many convincing proofs that he had risen from the dead. Then, after 40 days of many convincing proofs, then he ascends into the heavens. Why would you write that? This is the author tipping his hand and showing you the reason why I'm changing my story and I'm amending it from it all happened on the same day to now it took 40 days is because in the second telling of this story, I'm going to sneak in there just in case you're doubting, just in case you have any questions. This should answer your questions. In that 40 days that I added into the second version of the story, don't worry. In that 40 days, he gave many convincing proofs that he had risen from the dead. So you should have no further questions. If you read the Gospel of Luke, I can see why you would have questions because that's a little suspicious. He rose from the dead and the same day he ascended. So, hey, sorry, there was no way to check to see if he was really. But in the second account, no, he stuck around for 40 days. And yeah, that's when he did it. He gave many convincing proofs. So you don't have to ask any further questions. Christians have all kinds of ways to try to get around why one version says it all happened the same day. The other version says he stuck around for 40 days. None of their excuses to me are convincing. I talk about the excuses that Christians give in the book. So check out the book, chapter 10 of Let There Be Gaslight. But all I'm saying is, in Luke in the Gospel of Luke, you don't have this. You don't have the 40 days. You don't have the many convincing proofs. There's also an additional element in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, there's also an angel. That's not in Luke's gospel, but in Acts chapter 1, there's an angel who says to the disciples, oh, hey, y'all, why y'all looking up at the sky? That same Jesus that you just saw ascend, he's going to descend. So don't worry about it. He'll be back. So you have all these elements that are added in Acts that are not there in Luke, which leaves me saying, Jesus, you've got some explaining to do. Why does one version of your story say one thing? Why does the second version of your story say something else? And that's not to mention if you bring the other gospels into the equation, because Mark's gospel, which from many accounts, if you think about what's going on in Mark's gospel versus the others, Mark's is likely the first gospel account. Mark's gospel doesn't have any post-resurrection appearances. In Mark's gospel, all you have is an empty tomb and an angel saying, hey, he's risen, but no appearances, no witnesses. No one's able to say, oh, they saw him. And if you look at what some of the critical scholarship says about this, basically what they're saying is that's because when Mark wrote his gospel, the legend hadn't developed that far yet. And you do have Paul saying that 500 people saw him, but in Mark's gospel, nope, just an empty tomb. And hey, just got to take our word for it that he's up there now. I say all that to say, I don't buy it. I used to preach it. I believed it because the book said it, and the people that told me about it, as far as I knew, they were trustworthy. And this is how the story goes. And I didn't have the critical faculties. I didn't have the skepticism. I didn't have the wherewithal to hear a claim and say, okay, that's the claim, but why should I believe the claim? I challenge you if you're a Christian. Ask yourself, okay, this is the claim. Why should I believe the claim? And I challenge anyone to give me a good reason. Why should I believe the claim? Especially when all the people who are making the claim disagree with each other. And then in the case of Luke and Acts, they disagree with themselves about the claim. Why should I believe it? So if you're here and if you're in the chat and you've got a good reason why I should believe it, tell me. And I'll see if I could wrap myself around the reason that you're giving. As someone who used to live and would die for this. And one of the reasons why I would die for it was because I believed in a resurrection. I believed in Jesus's resurrection, and I believed in my own future resurrection. I'm not living for this life. I'm living for the next one. We had a song when I was a Christian rapper. One of the lyrics in our song said, I'm not living for this life because I'm living for the next one. I don't believe there's a next one. I think this is all we get. I'm going to seize these moments. I'm going to seize these days. This is all that we know that we have. And the testimony about a life after this one makes zero sense to me. I have an episode coming up soon where I'm going to talk about why the afterlife makes no sense. Imagine a basketball game and you go to the end of the fourth quarter and maybe you get an overtime. Maybe you get more time than you thought you were going to have. You tie it up and you get an overtime. Maybe you even get a triple overtime. But at some point, the game ends. And once the game ends, I don't care what you do after the game ends. It's after the game. There's no sense in which you can make a shot after the game and it still count to the game. Once the game is over, the game is over. I think the concept of an afterlife, like it's life. Why do you like the idea of an afterlife? Like after what? After the game? No, this is the game. This is the life. The concept of an afterlife is trying to stretch life into something else. No, we have life. Show me an afterlife. Show me someone who's lived an afterlife. You can't show me Jesus's afterlife. And even the person that says I had a near-death experience, guess what? It was near death. It wasn't death. Even if our instruments fail to be able to pick up the signs of a heartbeat or the signs of brain activity, and we say they're clinically dead, the fact that they ended up back here, guess where they are? They're in life. They're not in the afterlife. Even if they tell you, I saw light and I saw this, and guess where they are? They're still here in life. They're not in the afterlife. But lest I steal my own thunder, that's a whole other episode. So, all right, I didn't want to make this too long. It's already longer than I wanted it to be. Any comments? Take a couple minutes if you want to throw something in the chat. I'm going to look for it. If not, I hope you guys enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. If you're going to celebrate Easter, I'm going to celebrate, like I said, my resurrection from dying to self, dying a premature death. And I'm going to celebrate my family. But if you still celebrate, hey, have at it. Michael Apple says, not sure about hell, but heck is being stuck in line at the DMV. All right. Oh, I forgot to say, next week, Monday, I'm going to be on Skep Talk with Paula Gia, taking calls from theists. So that should be very interesting. Monday at 7 p.m. I'll say more about that. I probably will drop a note in the community. So pay attention to the community notes. And like I said, if you're not a Patreon supporter, join the Patreon, $5 Icapodians or Icafans at $10 a month. We got folks that do even more than that, and everything that you give the support is much appreciated. Helps me to see what the value for this is, and I'll keep doing it as long as you guys keep supporting. That being said, I'm out. Much love, y'all. In reason's name. Peace.